Hello, my dear friends. So we are discussing today lecture 3, Science, Scientific Method and its Critic. It's a very, very important and fascinating topic. Now, how do we understand the world? This was the pertaining question. Once sociology came as a subject, now the first question was, in the society in which we are living, there are different institutions. How to understand them? What should be the method? Method is very important in any subject. Like in your physics, Isaac Newton came. So the method was the classical physics method, classical mechanics, and this method was changed by Albert Einstein. So in every subject we have different methods. So for sociology also there were deliberation among the founding fathers of sociology. What should be the method? What subject we should choose to understand this whole world in which we are living. One conclusion that was drawn by the founding father of the sociology was that science is perhaps the best way to understand the society. Why they were thinking so? Because at that point of time in Europe, science was considered as panacea to all the problems. To solve all the problems, it is like a paracetamol. You can use it anywhere. The scientists were worshipped literally by the European society. So naturally, when the sociology as a subject was founded, the founding fathers were very much aligned towards the scientific method. They wanted to make sociology one of the most sophisticated of science. And thus, in the initial phase of sociology, all the scientific methods, all the scientific techniques, experimentation, research was also included as part of the subject. Now, what is the basic assumption that is made in a scientific method? That is objectivity. If I'm analyzing any society, I will not analyze the society based on my common sense, based on my bias. If I'm going to any place and I have a prejudice or bias that people of this place is lazy, but scientific method won't work in this manner. You will analyze, you will observe, and then you will come to the conclusion. So they are aligned to a methodology which is called as objectivity. Objectivity is ensuring a process which is free from biases, which is ensuring a technique. If I am using it, you are using it, or anybody else is using it. It is same for all three people. And the result also can be replicated. The result won't be same. If I am researching, if you are researching, the result won't be same. This is the basic assumption of the scientific process, which is involved in the sociological understanding as well. Our Auguste Comte said simply that yes, sociology has come as the last of the science, but it is taking things from all the subjects, even from the mathematics. So it is the most sophisticated one. It will solve all the problem. It is the panacea which society needs. Now, let's understand the classical scientific method, which our founding father of sociology wanted to imitate in the subject. So the classical scientific method believed in certain set of procedures and technique for acquiring knowledge. If we have to acquire knowledge, there are certain set of process, there are certain methods which we need to implement. And the foundation were laid during the Enlightenment period, where the magical or supernatural or religious supremacy was challenged. Now, the basic of science is logic. So if there is no logic, science will not agree that something is true. There should be always logic. There should be always logical connection between phenomena. Like if you are saying that rain happens because the rain god is angry, is there any logic? Is there any evidence? If there is no evidence, science will say no, it is not correct. Science will do analysis of clouds, meteorological data, and then come to a conclusion. Why there was not proper rainfall this year? Why in the last year there was more rainfall? So all these methods and processes are central to scientific understanding. As per Oxford English Dictionary, scientific methods are a method or procedure that has characterized natural science since the 17th century. And what are those characteristics? First is we will observe things. If I have to analyze one society, I will go and I will observe. Second, I will measure. I will measure something. I can measure about the gender equality. And how I will measure gender equality? The literacy rate of women, the health condition of women compared to men. We will have comparative metrics or analysis. How many women are employed? How many women have property rights? There can be different parameters. And that we will measure. We will observe and we'll measure these parameters. And then we will do experimentation. What is experimentation? Like in science, you add some chemical into metal or in some solvent, and then you see the reaction. So in sociology also, you will interact with the people and then analyze how they are responding. So this is called as experimentation in various circumstances and situations. And then formula. What is formula? In science, say for example, we have a formula F equal to G M1 M2 divided by R square. So in sociology, what can be the formula? Formula can be like if the gender equality is dependent on the quantum of education of a woman. This is a formula. If the women education increases, gender equality increases. So it is directly proportional. This can be called as formula. Testing, we will test it with different kinds of sample, different villages. Then we will come to a conclusion of different types of families. We will modify the hypothesis. Now, this is the initial point of research. What is a hypothesis? If I have to do a research, I will go with certain assumption that I will test. So I will go with an assumption, okay, the women education leads to more empowerment. This is my assumption. But this assumption will become a theory only when what data I will gather will prove this hypothesis. If this is not proved, then the formula that will become or the theory that will become will be exactly opposite to the initial assumption that we have made. So an untested statement which establishes a correlation between two phenomena is called as hypothesis. We can have two variables like population increase and development. These can be two variables. And I am making a theory that if a population increases, development decreases. Now, this is my hypothesis. Now, what I will do is I will conduct different kinds of researches. I will observe. I will collect data. I will testify. And then I will come to conclusion if the hypothesis that I have made is making a sense or not. If it is not making a sense, then the theory will be exactly opposite. That population increases the development. This is the classical scientific method. And as we had talked in the previous classes as well, let's again have a recap of the brief history of the classical scientific method. So if you go to the ancient Egypt, there have been several documents which is describing the application of empirical methods. In which disciplines? In astronomy, in mathematics, and in medicine as well. There were certain Greek philosophers like Thales. He, at that point of time, 624 before Common Era, he rejected religious, magical, and supernatural explanation, proclaiming that every event has a natural cause. Then came your Aristotle. He is regarded as the inventor of scientific method. Why so? Because of his detailed study of logic. Logic is the essence of science. And experimental methods came later, were further developed by Islamic scholars like Alhazen, who worked on optics and physiology. And then came your Renaissance period, in which Nicholas Copernicus, William Harvey, who described the functioning of human circulatory system. Then Robert Boyle, he's regarded by many as the father of modern chemistry. We have more people like Francis Bacon, Novum Organum, and various other names. These are not important per se with respect to our sociological understanding, but you just should have this much of brief understanding. So the basic thing that all these people were saying was truth is not based on blind faith. Either a thing exists or it doesn't exist. We do not believe in things. You do not believe in sun. Sun is there in the front of your eyes. Okay. You do not believe in certain vehicle or train. You see a train. So belief is based on blind faith or something which is not yet tested. For example, as we talked in the previous class as well, the belief of common people was that, first of all, not human. Men are the supreme race, supreme species in the entire universe. So now men are living on Earth. So Earth has to be the center of the entire universe. So every planet and every other planet and sun and stars are revolving around Earth. Now this was challenged. And when this was challenged by Copernicus, it was established that sun is the center. Okay, and Earth is rotating around it. So it challenged the supremacy of men. Now, what are the basic steps in the classical scientific method? You all would have done this basic exercise, right? Titration. This is a kid doing titration. We all have done it, right? Now, how this is in the chemistry lab. Now, how we will do these things in sociology, that we need to understand. Now, the scientific method consists of observation, but systematic observation. It's not like randomly you are observing things. It has to be systematic observation. What is systematic observation? If I have to analyze the data of women, I will approach every woman with a certain process. I will make a questionnaire. I will ask certain similar kinds of questions to all the women. This is called a systematic observation. We will use definitions. We will classify. We can classify women as educated, not educated, semi-literate. We can classify them according to their caste, and there can be several classification as well. And measurement is cornerstone of scientific method. And what we have measured, the data we analyze, okay, which is called as data analysis. In today's world of AI and information technology, we are analyzing data using big data analytics and several other methods. Even the machine learning is also used. And then interpreting. You analyze, you interpret. And after interpretation only, you can come up with a theory or concept. So the step one is observation. So you will observe things in a systematic manner, and you will precisely describe the phenomena under study. The second is the formulation of a hypothesis. A hypothesis is a general statement about a relationship which is not tested. As I told you, it is untested statement. It can be based on your common sense. It can be based on a general understanding of a society. So you will make it a general relationship or analogy between two variables, two phenomena. Like I told, with respect to population increase and development, it can be any other thing as well. Now, hypothesis should be specific. It should not be vague. There should be clear relationship. If I say population is increasing and sometimes the people get educated even after increasing population, and then development may increase, this is a vague statement. I have to make a simple, clear relationship in hypothesis. It should be conceptually clear and should be related to the theory which we want to analyze and technique which we are using. If that it is not aligning to the technique, it cannot be tested. So that is why hypothesis is very, very important. Now, scientific knowledge is cumulative. You knew about, okay, sun is in the center, and you knew about certain planets, and then you analyze. Cumulative knowledge is, okay, this is not a planet. We were considering it as a planet. This is not a planet. Okay, we have Goldilocks zone. We have several other things, pulsars and all. This is cumulative knowledge. It increases through different research, which is ongoing. Still, we do not know in the entirety about the universe. So this is the work in a progress. So even if you see the sociological method, initially what assumptions were made, they were also falsified. That doesn't mean they were entirely falsified. They still stand true partially. There is a theory in Jainism which is called as Anikantavada. So same applies in science. This is a very good rational method, Anikantavada. There is so many versions of truths. So same can be applied in the scientific process as well. Now, two contemporary example, you can see the quantum mechanics. So it is based, it is a particle physics theory contesting Einstein's general theory of relativity. You must have heard, if you are not from science background, there were people like Heisenberg, and there were people like Oppenheimer. All these were working on the quantum. Okay, quantum mechanics. What is quantum mechanics? A particle can exist in two states simultaneously. There are theory which is called as superimposition. Okay, if we are applying this in your computer, simultaneously things can be true and false. Now your basic computer is just working on either one thing can be true in one instance, and or it can be false, 1 or 0. But qubit will have 1, 0 simultaneously. Now the computation will reach at a very high stage. This is the basic science behind quantum mechanics. Now this is an ongoing thing. They are challenging the theory of Einstein. There was a mathematician from Bihar. His name was Vashish Narayan. He was one of the earliest one who challenged the theory of Einstein. And there are many other people who are still working to falsify the Einstein's theory. Then we have step 3, which is called as prediction. What is prediction? Now, using the hypothesis to predict the existence of other phenomena or the result of new observation, the observations that you are gathering using the hypothesis. See, this is the step 1 in which you are doing initial observations, initial setup, which is called as a warm-up kind of. And then you are making hypothesis, and then you are re-observing things. This is a perfect scientific method. But many of the sociologists skipped this step 1, and based on their value and biases, they first made the hypothesis and then they went on to do the research. But this is the classical method of science. Then comes the experimentation and verification. So performance of experiment to test if the untested statement which we have made is true or not. We are verifying that. Then only we can make a concept or a theory. Now there are two words. One is objectivity. Second is value neutrality. And this gentleman name is Max Weber. Now, what is objectivity? What is value neutrality? Objectivity means if I am doing a research in a particular location, I will keep my values, biases, everything aside. I will be just going there without any value, without any bias. I will discard it altogether, and I will just use the classical scientific method to analyze the society. But value neutrality will say, I accept my values. I accept that I have these biases. I may use these values to even choose the subject I want to study. But then after, I will try to become as value free as possible through various methods, through various processes which are scientific in nature. So I'm not completely discarding the value altogether. This is called as value neutrality. First, you are accepting it. And this was proposed by Max Weber. So while he had to analyze the society, the German society, so bureaucracy was very strong in the German society. So what he did, he went to Germany, and then first thing that he analyzed was bureaucracy. This was based on his value, that bureaucracy is strong, bureaucracy is prominent. So he was utilizing his values, and many of the analysis that he did about other society was also based on the value. So he was saying that it is not impossible. You are human, right? So human cannot be aloof with respect to values totally. So it is very, very important that we are accepting it. We are not totally discarding it or totally rejecting it. That was the point of view of Max Weber. This is the basic difference between objectivity and value neutrality in social research. Okay. Now, one thing you all need to understand, quantitative and qualitative. What is these two terms? Quantitative will be, if I'm going and asking a woman, I will ask, okay, what is your age? What are the diseases you are suffering? Are you healthy or not? Are you anemic or not? We can quantify this, right? Now, if I tell you, if I go and ask a woman that, were you suffering with respect to inequality while you were traveling in a bus? How you felt when you became a manager of the office? Now, these are value-laden things. These are qualitative things. You can't say yes, no. You need analysis. If she suffered, how she suffered? If she suffered, in what way she suffered? This is called a qualitative analysis. Now, these people who wanted sociology to become science, they were very much interested into things which can be quantified. Okay, if you are a man, okay, where you are working, what salary you are getting, this can be quantified. If I'm asking where a man, when did you cry? Why did you cry? Can I say, okay, yes, no, no? I will ask, why did you cry? This is a qualitative analysis. Now, the founding father of sociology did not want to go much into the qualitative data. They were very much interested in quantification. This can make the theory making easy. They can make universal theories, like how Durkheim made the theory of society. But then again, you are discarding the basic values of human, the basic essence of humanity. And if you are discarding the basic essence of humanity, then how you are making sociological study which will understand the society? So qualitative data is very, very important. This is the basic difference. And then there were several other loopholes as well that we will discuss just in a brief minute. First, see the classical scientific method in social science research. Now, the first thing is, no two human beings are alike. Two iron elements can be alike. Okay? Two anthracite can be alike. Two bituminous can be alike. Can two humans be alike even if they are brothers? They will have different traits. So complexity of social data is something which they were not able to gather through this mechanical method. It is therefore difficult to establish a causal analysis. Causal analysis, cause and effect. So if earthquake is happening, there is a cause. This is science. But now if you are trying to apply this in sociology, the cause can be okay. A person is suffering from debt, huge debt. But the effect is different. Somebody will commit suicide. Somebody will go on persisting and create KFC. That is how human beings are. They are not alike. There the artificial intelligence or any of these sophisticated technology will fail. Will always fail. Machines will never be able to understand the complexity of human brain. Human brains doesn't work in a 1-0 manner. In the similar, if your friend is and you are asking same thing in different point of a time, he will behave differently based on what has happened before, based on this physical condition, emotional condition, mental condition. So this makes the social data very much complex. It is not like science. Then unpredictability of social phenomena. Now it is because of this complexity in human being, it is highly difficult. If you have made a theory for, say for example, city like Delhi, and you are saying that marriage is a risky proportion. Now you go to Chhattisgarh and tribal village. Will this theory stand there? No, it will not stand there. There is different social reality which is existing in Chhattisgarh's tribal area like Bastar or Delhi's Saket. There is a huge difference. And there can be plurality of causes. Suicide is happening. Durkheim is saying, okay, it is based on integration, etc. But it can be totally psychological phenomena, totally based on the individual causes. There can be multiplicity of causes, not just these. Yes, it can be that the person is aloof, but again, he might be suffering from several health diseases as well. That is exacerbating things. Might be he has lost the job as well. So plurality of causes will be there. An intermixture of effects will be there. Okay. It cannot be like a linear theory of science. This is happening, so there is a reason behind it, and one reason behind it. No, it doesn't happen like this in social analysis. Like you say that, okay, culture of poverty is there, that is why people are poor. But what about a person suffered an accident and lost legs, now can't perform things like he was able to do it before? Now he will go into the poverty. Can it be explained by these theories? No. Then heterogeneity of social phenomena, since there are multiple causes, multiple effects, so there is homogeneity in society, high level of diversity, especially in countries like India. There is humongous diversity, humongous cultures, plurality of factors, plurality of how people live. Then we have difficulty in measurement and quantification as well. As I told you in the previous classes as well, social phenomena, these are not like a kind of a chemistry lab where you are putting and doing titration, it will behave in a similar manner. No. Social phenomena, human beings will behave in different manners. And we do not have controlled environment. We cannot put humans inside a space and then analyze them. You can do so in the scientific experiment. So there are assimilation, there are different phenomena which are happening. There can be indiscipline as well. People, if you are analyzing them, they will tell you lies. They will want them to be accepted. Even if they are patriarchal, they might say things which are gender neutral. This can also happen. And the subjectivity of the researcher. Now you see, one sociologist is saying that religion is opium of masses. Another sociologist is saying that religion leads to integration and social solidarity. Some other will come and say that religion sometimes leads to capitalism as well. Now, same phenomena, same thing, and different analysis. Now, why it is happening? Because of the subjectivity of the researcher. Okay, this is the basic difference between science and social research. And thus, you cannot make sociology just like the classical scientific method. These are very, very difficult. These are very, very tedious in the sociological analysis. Okay. Same society you're analyzing, same type of data you collected in 1992, and now you come to 1994. Your theory will change. It cannot be reciprocated. The society is fast changing. The people are fast changing. Okay. So these were the basis on which people like Thomas Luckman, they criticized the scientific method and processes. There were so many people. Luckman and Peter Berger, they said that, okay, you are telling that this is fact. Fact fall from sky. Okay. The marriage and other institutions, did they fall from sky? They were developed in a particular social context. Then how you can say that they are not dependent on the social actions and social values? How you can discard that? You are not analyzing some meteoroid falling from the sky. You are not doing that. So how you can make scientific, the classical scientific method and just engrave it in the sociology? It is impossible. It is very, very difficult. And that was criticized by many thinkers like Thomas Kuhn, Paul Faber, Karl Popper, which we will analyze further in the next lectures. Thomas Kuhn argued that scientific work with preconceived notions and theories which subtly impact their observation and measurement. Let me give you an example, what he is trying to say. Durkheim is a functionalist. So inherent biases, he wants from his data what? That the society, the values, the institutions are functional. They produce social solidarity, integration. So he will interpret data according to what notions he has. So even the scientific methods in sociological research are not free from biases. This was said by Thomas Kuhn. Okay. Now, one of the most powerful criticism is that in the grab of objectivity, a great deal of bias and prejudices is clocked. Now you see the people like Herbert Spencer, they were bringing the survival of the fittest and fitting into the society. From the organism, they were from Darwinism theory, they were making social Darwinism. Now it is nothing but you are trying to impose racism on the society. And there are several other examples. These functionalists, these positivists, they were justifying even the gender differences. Like why humans should do household work because she's procreating and there is a biological reason and this and that. This is nothing but they are imposing patriarchy in the garb of or in the illusion of science. This was a very, very big criticism of scientific methods. And the biggest criticism was given by the feminist scholars. Where are women in your research? Now, if you want to analyze what women is suffering, can it be done by a simple method like biological differences are there? That is why gender differences are there. The feminists say, see, biologically, we are not have a one different chromosome, but how we are behaving is decided by the society, not by the biology. And how we will prove it? We will do different kinds of researches. Different kinds of researches where qualitative analysis will be done. And then they proved it. Different society had different kinds of values with respect to how a particular gender will behave. So there is no universality. And you have completely discarded the feminist perspective. And feminist perspective was entirely different from the scientific method. They said, okay, I will analyze the society by keeping myself as a woman. How I will analyze the society? I am not behaving as a woman. If I am behaving as a woman, then only I will understand the standpoint of a woman. If I am going in a bus which is crowded, how how the men will behave, how they will try to deliberately touch. Now, if you cannot analyze it without behaving like a woman, so they totally discarded these theories. They said that we need to understand the psychology, the commonsensical understanding, the culture. Culture is leading to patriarchy. Culture is leading to gender inequality. Culture is leading to biases, not biology, not science, not biological differences per se. Okay. So another level of criticism concerns the actual absence of women in science and technology. Where are the women in the science? What is the participation of women in the science? What is the participation of women in AI? Thus your algorithm also cannot be gender neutral. Thus, the social location of a woman will decide if she is born in a greater Kailash, if she is born in HSR layout. Her social reality will be entirely different if she is born in Jhajjar district of Haryana or in Bundi, Rajasthan. These two women will have different social realities. Then if you are making a theory, scientific theory based on cause and effect analysis, will it be justified? No, it will not be justified. So you need to understand the gender insensitivity. You need to understand the double standards, and you need to go in the society and analyze it by becoming part of that society, by behaving like a woman. You cannot discard the values. It is very, very important. Then your analysis will not be complete. So this was the best criticism of the scientific theories in social research. And the torchbearer was Anne Oakley and Sylvia Walby. They were the torchbearer of this methodology. Now, I have an announcement for all of you. We had announced a Sociology Daily Answer Writing Initiative. Now, people have queried, sir, we are doing sociology, we are covering sociology with your lectures. We are complete beginners. Can we participate in the Sociology Daily Answer Writing? Yes, absolutely. How you can participate it? In the Sociology Daily Answer Writing, from Monday to Friday, you will get just 2 questions. And those 2 questions in the initial 60 days will be very basic in nature. Emergence of sociology. Okay. Now, even if you are writing an average answer, it will help you to use your knowledge in answer writing. Just 2 answers. And Saturday, Sunday, you will get time to revise things, what you have done. So it is completely beginner friendly. It is completely made for the 2027 aspirants. And I will put the link in the description of how you can enroll, what is the fees, etc. And you can enroll in it. Together these lectures and together that most affordable answer writing initiative. Literally, I am putting money from my pocket because it is so affordable, and people who have given interviews, they will check copies, I will check copies, and thus it demands a lot of finances from my side. But I had vouched for providing things at almost zero cost, and thus I will continue that process because there is an agenda. Education should not be dependent on the size of the wallet. So I am providing things at 1/5, 1/10 cost in terms of your Sociology Daily Answer Writing Initiative as well. Thank you very much. Take care and best wishes.